Well, it's Book Review Monday, and y'all know what that means. Time to delve into the murky world of presidential politics. This weekend, I finished reading A Magnificent Catastrophe by Edward J. Larson. This is the book about the election of 1800 that I mentioned a few episodes ago, and this time I'm actually going to review the book rather than just giving you a few of the facts that I learned from the book. The election of 1800 is considered by many historians to be the first modern presidential election, in that it was the first presidential election in which there was a great deal of campaigning and behind-the-scenes stuff going on. When Washington ran for president both times, and when Adams ran for president the first time, their task was basically just to stay at home and wait for the results. They didn't really even announce their candidacy so much as they were picked by the electors. That was the original intent behind the Electoral College. It would just be a body who would honestly pick the best people for the job. But the emergence of two-party politics kind of made that system impossible. The two main contenders in the election of 1800 were John Adams, the sitting president from the Federalist Party, and Thomas Jefferson from the Republican Party. So what this book, A Magnificent Catastrophe, does is it takes us through all of the things that factored in to the eventual election of Thomas Jefferson. It starts by giving us a brief history of the relationship between Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, starting back to their time in the Second Continental Congress when they served on the Declaration Committee, carrying us through to where they were both foreign diplomats, and then showing us what it was that eventually divided them. Their opinion of the role in government, which would not only divide them, but would also divide the two political parties. And then each chapter shows us one major factor in the election of 1800. The way the tide was beginning to turn from the Federalists to the Republicans, the midterm elections of the House and the Senate, the gubernatorial elections of Virginia and Pennsylvania and Delaware and how they affected things, the antics of such men as Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr, the debate over the way that electors should be chosen, whether it should be chosen by the state legislature or by popular vote, or whether there should be separate districts in each state, or whether they should all vote as one state. And what Larson does really well is that he draws parallels between the election of 1800 and modern day elections, without actually saying here are the parallels, but just the way that he writes things shows us just how little things have changed. I mean, often people will say that elections today are a lot dirtier than they were back in the days of the founders. But if you read this book, you'll find out that that is not true. The politics in the election of 1800 were extremely filthy. There was a lot of dishonest dealing going on. There was a lot of manipulating of the Electoral College, the manipulating of somebody's words. The press was extremely biased. There were smear tactics. There were attacks on religion, particularly with regards to Thomas Jefferson and his religion. It is simply amazing how many similarities you can draw between the election of 1800 and the election of 2008 or 2004 or 2000. And so this book does really what all writings on history should do. It makes history relevant to today. And so I enjoyed reading this book. I thought it was extremely well written. If you're at all interested in presidential politics and how a lot of the things that we do today got started, A Magnificent Catastrophe by Edward J. Larson will give you a lot of that history. Now I'm behind a garbage truck for God knows how long, so I'll see you later.